I'm going to be reviewing UFC Vegas 25 Procházka versus Reyes. I guess we'll talk about the overall card to start with. I found the card pretty enjoyable. Started off in the prelims with Sanders Colares, which was a really, really good and enjoyable fight. I found myself really, not sure which way it was going to go. Came down to the decision, Colares won. I thought that was a really good way to set the tone. I saw some people kind of complaining on Twitter that there wasn't really any finishes or anything like that. I guess it really depends on the person, but that's the thing about this sport. If you just stick with the card and watch the fights, you will be rewarded in some way or another, and we got that with the main and the co-main events later in the evening, but the morning and afternoon here in Australia. With today, we're going to mainly talk about the main card. In terms of the prelims, Kamaka Brown was a really, really good fight. I think a lot of people really enjoyed that fight. Some people felt like the fight should have gone the other way. But yeah, we'll get stuck into the main card, and we may as well start with the main event. Reyes versus Procházka. Oh my God, what a fight that was. I had that as my fight of the night, and Procházka with performance of the night with Jiří, which we'll touch on in a minute. Now, going into this fight, this fight night, I did have Procházka to win by knockout. Actually, I did put my money where my mouth is. I put a bet on with Procházka to get the KO TKO, and he did just that in the second round. Procházka is just one of the most unique fighter going around at the moment. He fights with this style where his hands are just down, he just swings, he walks through punches. This guy looks like a serial killer or a video game character, and he literally fights like one too. He's a real ominous presence, which in the words of Paul Felder, he's really looking dangerous. He's awfully powerful. In that first round, he really touched up Reyes, and Reyes landed some really good shots on him, but Procházka really just was unaffected by those and walked through them, and he hits like a truck. Reyes was doing really well with that left hand, but he was getting touched up. In that second round, Reyes did a lot better. He actually even managed to wobble him. So just goes to show that Reyes is still one of the best fighters in the world, but I think he's just come up against guys who are better, and at this level, that's how tight the competition is. He's lost to Jones, arguably the greatest of all time, to the current champion Blachowicz, and to Procházka, who really looks like he could be making a run at the title pretty soon. Dana White did say that the winner of this fight would get the winner out of Blachowicz versus Teixeira. Now, whether or not Procházka waits around for another fight, we'll have to wait and see in between, because, it may be too long. He may want to stay a bit more active. So he may get another fight between those two, or he may just sit out. I think he probably deserves title. I know it's only his third fight. It would only be his third fight in the UFC, but he just look at him when he fights. He's honestly that unique, that good, that strong. It's hard to put anyone else past him. In terms of Reyes, I do feel sorry for him. I think he's going to need to have a bit of a break after a huge knockout like that. That knockout by Procházka with a spinning elbow. What else can you say? Reyes literally fell, and wouldn't shock me if you thought and said, he looks like he's dead. Like, that elbow really caught him, and I guess because of the amount of pressure Procházka was placing on Reyes, as he kind of turned and hit that, he kind of did the downward elbow on Reyes, kind of turned, and Reyes really didn't have his hands up at the time, and I think that's just because he was just being overwhelmed and pressured by Procházka. He was probably getting pretty tired. Procházka just literally hit the classical Muay Thai upward elbow, and it was good night for Reyes. So I think the main event was awesome. Let me know what you guys think. If you had Procházka to win or Reyes, I had Procházka to win by knockout, as I said before. So really, really good way to end the night. I think Procházka's onto bigger and better things. I think Reyes needs to have a bit of a break, and I think Procházka's unique style really will be a draw for the more casual fan. The way he fights is quite entertaining. I know the commentators don't like that his hands are down, but it's working for him, so you got to do what works for you. Now, in the co-main, this was quite surprising. Like, again, I had Chikadze to win, but I don't think he'd win in the first minute, and he did the big old Giga kick right into the liver of Cub Swanson. I did say that I thought Giga would invest in the legs and the body on Cub Swanson. That kick that he landed was so accurate. Cub Swanson literally just, you could tell, like, all of a sudden you hear him make that noise, and when a fighter, a UFC fighter, makes a grunt or a noise in pain, you know that it had to hurt, because these guys are tough, and Cub Swanson is a really tough opponent. So I think Giga Chikadze will be making a name for himself in that featherweight division. He asked for Holloway and Qatar. Whether or not he gets one of those fights probably remains to be seen. Probably a bit early for Holloway, obviously, and maybe even Qatar. So we'll just have to wait and see what he gets next. But he looks like he's obviously could fight pretty soon. He wants to fight pretty soon. You know, he barely he took no damage in that fight. It only lasted a minute. So Cub Swanson, unfortunately, he obviously lost. I think he kind of came out. He looked okay in a couple of exchanges. He did throw a couple of punches, but unfortunately that liver shot really just put him down instantaneously. And I don't know if you guys think like the ref should have stopped it sooner when he fell. Like, Giga kind of waited for the ref to stop it, didn't he? He had to throw a couple punches, but they were pretty... I think they were just kind of there to get the ref to kind of hurry up and end the fight. Not sure what's next for Cub Swanson, so if you guys want to let me know what you think's next for him. Obviously, he's at 15, Giga's 14. I don't know if Swanson is looking at fighting anyone higher up in the rankings, or he's going to have to, you know, string a few wins together against some lower ranked guys to kind of get back into some relevancy. But I think performance of the night for Giga Chikadze as well. That knockout was awesome, and I think he's really improved since his last fight. Early on, he obviously was only getting decision wins. He got to finish his last fight. This fight, he looked even more convincing with that finish. So it'll be really interesting to see what is in store for him. Then the whole night was full of kind of weird fights, to be honest. Cutelaba and Jacoby. Now, obviously, there was a bit of a build-up before the fight. Cutelaba kind of grabbing Jacoby by the neck in the weigh-ins, and it was always going to be interesting to see what the fight would be like. I did say in my prediction video that I thought Jacoby would get the win as my kind of underdog for the night, and that didn't pan out. It's my only pick that didn't pan out, by the way, but not how I envisioned it. Cutelaba looked so good in that first round. That was a massive 10-8. I was actually on the train. I had to go to the footy here in Melbourne. So I was on the train. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, how much Cutelaba was manhandling Jacoby in that first round. That was, like I said, a 10-8 round. But as we all know, wrestling is the most, I guess, fatiguing of the disciplines. He did so much work in that first round, looking to, I guess, get on top, get that finish. He was throwing in some heavy punches, and Jacoby's doing a really good job of, I guess, staying calm, covering up, getting back to his feet. But Cutelaba literally just had hold of him, and it was just 5 minutes of pure domination. That was always going to be really hard for Jacoby to come back from. I think even in the second round, hard to say if Jacoby got the win. I know the judges ended up one judge scored at Jacoby, one judge scored at Cutelaba's way, another judge ended up being a split draw. So Jacoby, as the fight went on, because Cutelaba was gassing, you could see starting to piece a few combinations together with his striking, landing a few really nice shots. And towards the end, you could see they were both pretty tired. I probably had it as a draw. Really hard to separate who won that fight. If you had to pick one, I'd probably say Kutalaba, just because I think in that second round, Jacoby, the first part of that second round, he just still wasn't as active as Kutalaba was. Kutalaba's still doing a really good job, but started to gas in that second round. So really good and well done for Kutalaba to hold on, really, and Jacoby as well. I actually quite enjoyed that fight. I can understand maybe why people thought the first round might have been a little bit boring, but I think it was a really, really good fight, and just goes to show you that anything can happen in this sport. Sean Strickland, Krzysztof Jotko. I had Strickland to win the fight, so he got the win, but by decision. I think a lot of people thought that he may, be the first person to get a knockout for the night. Jotko started off really strong, looked quite good early on, was landing a few nice combos, but you could just see Strickland walking him down, really unfazed by a lot of what Jotko was throwing. And Jotko was throwing some really technical kicks and using his range, but Strickland was just walking him down. So Strickland's a real tough guy. Interesting enough, he didn't talk any trash. Normally he talks a bit of trash. I heard the corner may have been talking a bit of trash about Jotko. I'm not sure how I really feel about that. I mean, you're there to support your own fighter, not necessarily talk trash about the other fighter, but this is a sport of fighting. It's not a nice sport, so... But you could see towards the end, he was starting to piece up Jotko with his hands. It was quite a convincing win in the end for Strickland. And Strickland's looking like he could be a force to deal with in the middleweight division. So I think keep an eye out for him. Not sure who he will go up against. I might actually do a video on who I think these guys will go up against. Today's more just about reviewing the fight, reviewing the card as a whole. But yeah, Strickland, quite good. Let me know if you guys think he's the real deal. It'll be interesting to see when he fights a ranked guy now. So in the middleweight division, I think that's what's next for him. He's going to have to fight someone in that probably 6 to 10 kind of range, whoever falls there. But the middleweight division is a very strong division, like with Adesanya, Whitaker, Till, Gastelum. I mean, Gastelum would be a nice test. I'd love to see those two fight, to be honest, but I'm not sure if Strickland's quite ready for someone of Gastelum's caliber, and I think you never know, but that'd be a cool fight. It might be, a lot of hands thrown in that one. We'll just have to wait and see. Jotko's got to go back to the drawing board. I don't think he looked particularly bad, to be honest. I think Strickland was just the better fighter on the night. So it'll be interesting to see what's next for him and in store. Finally, we've got Marab Davalish. I hope I said that right. A couple of Georgians on this card, actually, with Jikadze Davalishvili. Davalishvili took on Starman, and the two going into this fight, it was probably the hardest fight to pick, I guess you could say, out of the main card. It seemed like they were going to be fairly evenly matched, but Marab really lived up to his nickname of the Machine. He, early on, Starman landed a few good punches, and Starman, Australians, we might say it a bit weird. Stamen, he's got powerful hands. And you could see in the exchanges that he had the more powerful punches, but Marab was landing more consistently, more frequently, and he's just getting, in terms of the groundwork, getting the takedowns, he looked really good all fight, and I think it really summed it up after the first round. Stamen sat down in the corner, breathing heavy, and Marab standing there ready to go. Marab wanting, I think, again, someone who's taken a step in his career. He looks really dangerous. Like, out of all the guys, in my opinion, out of tonight, other than Procházka, Marab looks like he really could challenge someone high, like in a higher ranking. He asked for Cruz or someone along those lines, and I really think he's one to look out for. I think he could be, this might be a big call, but I think he could be a future championship contender. I think he looks really, really good. Stamen, I mean, he didn't necessarily look bad, but Davalish really was just an absolute machine. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Still got a really good record. I don't think that fight really hurts his stock, to be honest, because I actually think Davalish really is championship material. Just looking at his work rate, he kind of reminds me of Volkanovski for some reason. Alex Volkanovski for some reason. Just his cardio with his technical striking and his ability to get a takedown. So I really like Davalish. So on the whole, for the night, I got 4 right. 1, don't know if we're going to call that wrong, but we'll keep a tally throughout the rest of the year. See how many we can get. So yeah, that's basically it when it comes to this card. Like I said, I've got 4 out of the 5 right. Really happy with that. I won a bit of money off it. So might be a good idea to tally this up for the rest of the year just to see how accurate we can be. Fighting is one of those sports where you never know what's going to happen on the night, and I think as fans we will spoil on that night. So I'd really love to know what you guys thought of the card. Who do you think these guys are going to fight off against next? And is some of these guys overhyped? Is Procházka all hype? Is Jiří hype? What do you guys think? I'd be interested to know. But I thought we had a really good card on our hands. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy these kinds of videos. Next, we'll probably preview the next fight card eventually. And we might do a few more reactions to whatever's reported in the media throughout the week. But I would love to be able to get you guys on after a fight card. So stream it right after the fight card and just get your opinions right away. Almost like a talk back radio show. We can go at it, we can debate, we can agree, we can do whatever. But I'd love to be able to do that. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We'll get that going eventually. But yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. Please drop a like, please subscribe. I think this is my 4th or 5th video and I'm really enjoying them. So yeah, be nice to see some of you guys responding, all right? Thanks, guys.